All right, everyone, here we go today. In this segment, we are going to be discussing the integumentary structures. We've already talked about the integumentary system, some of its tissues and layers, the dermal, the epidermal, the dermal, and the subcutaneous layers. And then this time, we are going to look at some of the structures that are found in the integumentary system. Um, Starting out, the basic things that we're going to find today are just the three main things that we call epidermal derivatives, and they include nails, hair, and the exocrine glands of the skin. So let's talk nails. We're going to talk a lot of gritty detail here. Nails are scale-like functions of the stratum corneum. The nail plate has a whitish free edge, a pinkish nail body, and a nail root that is covered by the skin. The nail body covers a layer of epidermis called the nail bed, and the nail matrix is the thickened growing part of the nail bed. The lanula are the white semiluminar areas of proximal nail body, thickened stratum basale obscures that thickened that thickened stratum basale obscures the capillaries in the dermis. In nail folds, those that overlap the lateral and proximal edges of the nail. So remember that lateral means to the side, so to the side, and proximal, when we're talking about an appendage, proximal is closer to the attachment. So when we say the proximal edge, that's down here. And that's the nail folds, that area that kind of overlaps. And then the eponychium, sorry, that's a mouthful for me as well. Oftentimes the cuticle is what we call it, is that narrow band of epidermis that extends from the margin of the nail onto the nail body. And then the hyponychium is a region of thickened stratum corneum over which, oh, sorry, moving myself around, over which the free edge of the nail projects. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's look deep here at our nail. The entire structure here we call the nail body. The free edge is that area kind of hanging over that we tend to trim or we like to extend. That nail fold is wrapping around the entire nail body on both the lateral edges and that proximal edge. And then the eponychium, that cuticle extends just that little bit right there. And we can see down here the hyponychium, that's coming underneath. Remember, epi means above, hypo means below or less than. And you've got that whole nail bed and nail plate underneath there, the dermis and epidermis. And then this is the bone, which we'll get to in our next chapter. So let's talk about hair. Hair is found almost everywhere on the body except on the palms of our hands or on the soles of our feet, the palmar region and the plantar region, if we're practicing our regional terms. And it extends in parts of the external genitalia. The three main types of hair, the lanugo, this is real thin, found on the fetus. The vellus, or fine, non-pigmented. That's typically the hair you find on most of your body. And then the terminal hair is that coarse and pigmented hair. It has color, grows on our head. It's in other parts of our body. Hair consists of keratinocytes growing from follicles deep in the dermis, often projecting to the subcutaneous layer. Remember, that's the layer that is just underneath or deep to the dermis. And remember this word keratinocytes. Cytes are cells, and these are keratin-producing cells. Follicles are these areas where it is growing from. So the zones that make up our hair, we talk about the hair bulb. This is the deep swelling of epithelial cells. That's where hair is originating. It's the base of the bulb surrounds the hair papilla. containing the connective tissue, blood vessels, and nerves. The hair root is the portion that is deep to the skin surface. So that's underneath the skin, and that's the part that you don't see. But the hair shaft is that portion that extends beyond the skin surface. Hair production occurs in the hair matrix. Has some different layers. The medulla. Medulla usually means in the center of something. So this is the core of loose air spaces. Let me pause here. My lights have turned out. So boring, even the room wanted to turn the lights off on me. Here we go. The medulla is the core of loose cells and the air spaces within those hair. The cortex are several layers of flattened cells that surround the medulla. And then the cuticle is the outer coating of the hair. So the hair with those three different layers. A hair follicle surrounds each hair. The wall of it has connective tissue to the root sheath and the epithelial tissue of the root sheath. Erector pili muscles are attached to the hair shaft. These are the muscles that allow your hairs to stand on edge. Pili is kind of the general word for hair, but anyhow, these little muscles surround the hair shaft within deep to the surface, and they would contract, and your hair will stand on end. So these respond to emotions and cold temperatures by contracting, standing, and producing that goosebumps or chicken skin, as some people like to call it. So this is what we really want to look at is we're taking a look at this hair shaft. You can see the cuticle. The medulla is that area deep within. Let's see here. I don't have my pointer on. So that medulla is that hollow or that center portion of the hair surrounded by the cortex and then the cuticle on the very outside. That hair bulb down here with the epithelial tissue, this is where the hair is actually growing. Again, the root is deep to the surface of the skin. The shaft is what we see above the skin. And then you have these erector pili muscles that can help to stand that hair up when it needs to. Over here, you'll see the slide image, the microscopic image of a hair follicle. This is something that we want to look at and be able to recognize on our microscopes. Some functions of the hair, some protection from sunburn, injury, heat retention, sensory reception, right? Really light touch can be sensed by hairs. Visible identification. I put here, it may help determine age or gender. Some of those things in our society are not quite as visually identificating as, is that even a word, identificating? I don't know, as possible. Hair color is determined by melanin, right? We've seen melanin for skin color as well. Again, melanin is a protein. It's a pigment. Pigments are substances that absorb light and reflect other types of light. It's produced in the matrix adjacent to the papillae. Some variations in hair color are genetically determined. They can also be influenced by environment, hormonal factors, things like that. Pigment production tends to decrease with age, leading to gray hairs, gradual melanin decrease. White hair is due to complete stoppage of melanin production. So there's some hair growth cycles. The anagen phase, this is the active growth at the hair bulb. The catagen phase, the brief period where cell division ceases. The follicle starts to shrink. The telogen phase, telogen, I like telogen. This is the resting phase, the usual phase when hair is shed or lost. Alopecia is the process of hair thinning. Diffuse hair loss, hair is shed from all parts of the scalp. And then male pattern baldness is loss of hair, first from the crown region caused by genetic and hormonal factors. That's that right down the middle, and you kind of get that halo around the back. So these are just some conditions with hair and stages of hair growth. And then hirsutism is excessive hairiness, commonly caused by excessive androgens, which are steroids, hormones that are growth factors. So let's talk exocrine glands of the skin. The word exo, or the prefix exo, means outside of, like think like exit, exo for exit. Crine refers to a gland. So we talk about the exocrine and endocrine. Endocrine system we'll study later on in the semester that produces hormones. The exocrine glands are going to produce substances that are going to be shed from the body or from body surfaces. So a gland is typically like a tube or something that's going to release substances. So the skin has two main types of exocrine glands: the sweat or sudoriferous glands. They produce sweat, which is a watery solution. Two main types of sweat glands: the merocrine and apocrine glands. And then we also have sebaceous glands. These are oily producing glands. Take a look here, and we can see the sweat gland here, this tube leading to the outer superficial surface of the skin. And it's goes deep into below the dermis, deep in here. And then we can also see some merocrine glands and apocrine sweat glands in here as well. There's also a sebaceous gland over here producing oils that will run up the shaft or the root of the hair and coat that with oil. So talking sweat glands, two major types, the merocrine and the apocrine. I like to say the word apocrine. Some people like apocrine. I like to emphasize the A on apocrine because there's sometimes we'll use words where like an E sound will kind of get epicrine, apocrine. So I like to say apocrine. You do you. We'll see how it goes. They have the coiled tubular secretion portion in the reticular layer of the dermis or in the subcutaneous layer. Remember that layer lies deep to the dermis. There's a sweat gland duct. Okay, the duct is the actual tube, transports the secretions to the skin surface for merocrine glands, and to a hair follicle for the apocrine glands. So that's the primary difference is where that sweat is released. The merocrine gland is directly to the surface of the skin, where the apocrine gland is going to travel up the hair follicle. The opening of the duct on the skin surface is called a sweat pore. So the pore is like a hole. And myoepithelial cells, these are between the secretory cells. They respond to sympathetic stimulation, and they contract to squeeze the gland so the secretions are released. Merocrine sweat glands, again, simple coiled tubular glands release secretions via exocytosis. That's would happen from the cell, right? So those are being produced in a cell, and then they are exiting the cell, exocytosis. And so that to the duct, which terminates on the pore, on the skin surface. Secretion, sweat is 99% water. It's clear, it's controlled by the nervous system. That we have lots of sweat glands on our hands, soles of feet, and the forehead. Functions are for thermoregulation. That's a fancy word for cooling us down. And they secrete a number of various other substances, oftentimes salt and various other electrolytes. So when you sweat a lot, not only do you need to replace that water, but you need to replace those electrolytes. And it also functions to protect us from microbes. The apocrine sweat glands, these are, again, simple coiled tubular glands. They secrete in the hair follicles, particularly in the armpits, the nipples, the groin, the anus region. The secretion is thick, cloudy, and composed of proteins and lipids. Lipids is, again, a word for fats or oils. Bacterial growth within these cause the distinct odor in these regions. So when we think about body odor, it's typically coming from these apocrine glands, and mostly that's due to the bacteria feeding on these proteins and lipids and producing their own molecules. Sebaceous glands, remember, sebaceous glands are producing an oily substance called sebum into the hair follicles or directly onto the skin surface. They function to provide lubrication, prevents out the drying of hair and skin. Oftentimes, we put so much product on our hair that we actually suppress this oily sebum and our hair dries out. And so we need more of those products. And that seems like a pretty good marketing model to me. Although it may not be quite as socially acceptable to not wash your hair. After some time, it will begin to lubricate itself. So that's interesting. Relatively inactive during childhood. Sex hormones at puberty definitely will cause secretions to increase significantly. And so here we take a look at our slides, our microscopic images. We see that merocrine sweat gland duct, right? So again, a duct is a tube. So right now you're looking kind of down that tube and you see this layer of cells. To me, that looks almost like two layers of cuboidal looking cells. And then you have this open lumen in the middle. That's where the sweat would be released from. So these cells would produce it, and then it would travel through this tube in the middle. Here's some apocrine sweat glands. Again, you see these layer. This looks like a single layer of cuboidal cells. Here's another tube here. And then over here, we're looking at sebaceous glands. You can see the hair follicle here and the glands right up next to it, releasing oils into that hair. Some other integumentary glands of the skin, lesser known or lesser prevalent. We talk about the ceruminous glands, are apocrine glands located in the external acoustic medius. So we haven't talked about this yet, but acoustic is sound, medius is this area right here. So this ceruminous glands are actually what is producing that thick substance that we might refer to as earwax. So that mixes with oily sebum and the keratinocytes with keratin to produce cerumen or earwax. This helps to trap particles, small insects, provides lubrication to the eardrum, and contains an antimicrobial lysozyme. That would be an enzyme that's helping to fight off any foreign bacteria that we don't want in our ears. And then mammary glands, these are found in the breasts, why we're called mammals. We are the only organisms, mammals, that have mammary glands. They're modified apocrine glands, and their function is to produce breast milk during pregnancy. In summary, we talked today about lots of structures of the integument. We talked about nails, we talked about hair, we talked about two major types of exocrine glands, three if we talk about two types of sweat glands, the merocrine and apocrine, and then the oily producing sebaceous glands. And I hope you stuck with me. I hope you kept the lights on, and hope that was helpful.